This is my Nissan Ariya and I've owned it for 7 months now. It's my very first EV. So I think it might be time to tell you what I really think about it after I've got 3,000 odd miles under my belt. Welcome to Rambly Electric. So when you first get a new toy like this, then of course you love it and everything about it is simply great. But after you've got 3,000 miles under your belt in a new car, then you can start to be a little bit more critical. So I'm going to get in, go for a drive, and we'll have a little chat about the good things, the bad things, and the kind of meh things. Let's do that. The first thing I have to say about this car is just how much fun it is to drive. I'm at a set of traffic lights, let me now pull away. It is just instant torque. You never get bored of that. It's just brilliant. But you could say that, of course, about any EV that you drive. The driving experience of an electric car is streets ahead of any ICE car. I've driven loads of ICE cars over the years and none of them are a patch on an EV. They're just better. When I first saw the Ariya, it was on the Nissan website and I thought, oh, I like the look of that. That looks really nice. And that hasn't really changed. I absolutely love how this vehicle looks. It certainly hasn't lost any of its wow factor to me. A lot of people criticise SUVs in particular. They call this a kind of SUV, but it's not really. It's like a sort of crossover, I think. It's not that really massive SUV style. It doesn't weigh 3 tons like a Land Rover Discovery, for example. It's big, but not in a kind of ostentatious sort of way, if that makes sense. And certainly smaller EVs are really the way to go. Smaller cars in general are the way to go. But this is big enough to be able to get all your luggage in, all your stuff in when you go on holiday or you go out for the day. But it's small enough to not be too mad. Does that make sense? Or am I trying to convince myself? I don't know. But I really like the kind of the lines, the joined up look of this car. There's things about some of the other cars on the market that I look at that I think, does the front really belong to the back? But on this, I love the way that it just kind of looks as if it's been connected. It looks as if it's been thought about when they designed it, which of course is no bad thing. Now this is the standard colour. It's a really dull day. It looks like it's going to rain any minute, but this looks black, but it's not. It's actually called Aurora Green. And it does look green in the right light, but at the moment in this light, as you can probably see, it does look black. But actually I think it's quite nice. I don't normally like black cars, they sort of show the dirt. This one's, yeah, it gets away with it. I think you can just about in this light make it out. If I look on here, this is black, this wheel arch, but here that is the green, and in the right light you really can tell the difference. In fact, in some lights you get kind of purple shade to it. It's an interesting colour, but all of the colours that they do, I don't think I dislike any of them actually. There's some really nice colours, and I quite like if you go for some of the two-tones look, you have a darker roof and maybe a different colour on the side, and then you have the contrasting wheel arches. Looks really fab. However, when you get inside, there is something a bit weird here, and you see it going right the way across the middle of the car. You have this kind of highlight copper colour, and you get that across the entire range of Ariyas. Whatever colour it is on the outside, it's copper across that centre band of the car, and that ties in with the copper colour of the car that you can buy and is in all the advertising materials. But I think that's a bit weird if you buy, say, a blue one or a red one. I think that would look quite jarring. I'd get away with it because this car looks black, so I think whatever colour that is on the inside, it's sort of okay, but I think it's a bit weird that colour doesn't match the colour on the outside. Is it just me? As with a lot of EVs, you've got different driving modes. You've got D, which I'm in at the moment. You've also got B, which is slightly a harder regenerative braking, so you'll put a little bit more back in the battery. It will slow down a bit more aggressively maybe. I tend to prefer it in D because I actually use, and I'm using it at the moment, one pedal driving. Now, one pedal driving in the Ariya is different to the Nissan Leaf. So, okay, they're both Nissans, but it works differently. The one pedal driving in a Nissan Leaf will take you right down to a stop. So effectively, you are what it sounds like. You're using one foot, you're using your right foot to speed up and to slow down. As you take your foot off the accelerator, the car slows down, and you don't have to touch the brake. The downside of that is, and other cars have a sort of similar things as well, the downside of that is that if you never use the brakes, they will seize up. And there's reports about EVs with brakes that have kind of done that. So what Nissan have done with the Ariya, and I think it's quite clever really, is that they have made it so that the one pedal driving does not completely stop your car. It will not bring it to a complete stop. Now I'm just using the one pedal driving to slow down at this roundabout here. I've taken my foot off completely and I'm still creeping forwards. And that's what it does. It takes you down to a kind of creep. But if you want to stop completely, you then have to put your foot on the brake. Some people who are familiar with the Leaf are not very happy about that. I've read plenty of comments from Leaf drivers who think the Ariya should behave the same. But as somebody who's never driven a Leaf, I have to say I like this. I've come to this fresh, if you like, as a complete one pedal virgin, and I like it. I think it works really well. Most of the time when you're out and about and you're driving around the roads, you do not have to put your foot on the brake anyway, so it does work as true one pedal driving. And when you come to a stop, kind of putting your foot on the brake is no bad thing, I don't think, to say yes, I really do want to stop now, so I'm going to put my foot on the brake. And it means then that your brakes won't seize up, but you're not using them that often, which means that they will last a very long time, so you're getting the best of both worlds. And something I like about the back doors, in fact the front doors as well on this car, if you see they open up really nice and wide. So if you want to get in and out, which you do obviously, but you want to get stuff in there, yeah, nice wide doors. They're not absolutely open completely 90 degrees, you would never get that, but they're about as close as you're going to. Yeah, that's good. Right, I'm going to get in the back, and if I get in the back, and there is absolutely tons of room in here. I mean, really, this front seat here is pulled quite a long way back, and you can stretch your legs right out in the front, and yet at the back, I am not pushed for space in any way. One of the things about EVs, especially EVs that are built as an EV from the ground up, they are so spacious. Yeah, no complaints there, brilliant, plenty of room, lots and lots of headroom. I'm about 5'11", and yeah, there's a lot of headroom above my rather shiny head. So admittedly, the height is probably helped a little bit by the fact I have no hair. But I think even if you had a really, you know, nice head of hair, you'd still be all right. You wouldn't be brushing it around on the roof very much, probably. The car is really, really quiet. As you would expect from an EV, it's just silent as you're driving along. At the moment it probably isn't, because I've got a noisy dog crate in the back of the car and that does rattle, and actually I do notice that quite a bit because the car itself is so silent. But yeah, most people won't be driving along with a rattly old dog crate in the back, and trust me, it's so nice having a quiet car. I love it. There are some things about this car that I think are a little bit on the weird side, but now this is just me, I will grant you, but if you're cleaning the car, as you want to do, I like cleaning the car. You wouldn't believe it looking at it at the moment because it's a bit grubby, but there are some bits here. If I put my hand up here, you can't put your hand up in this little gap here. It's a bit difficult on there, probably because it's supposed to be aerodynamic. That's probably what it is. And also there's some other weird bits. Have a look over here on this door down here, which, and I apologise for the fact that it does look a bit grubby. It does need a clean. But there's this weird, it looks as if should that rubber go all the way to the end on there? Is there a reason why that doesn't do that? And there's these weird little gaps as well at the end of the doors and where some of the panels kind of join, which is odd. I've not had that on any ICE cars before, but maybe that's supposed to be like that. Maybe, I don't know, is it? But I would say the build quality actually is very good. I was speaking to a friend today who has a Tesla, and you know, I know the Tesla arty might be out to get me when I say this, but he was saying he has had a few issues, shall we say, related to the build quality. And I'm going to say no more than that, because I have never been in a Tesla. I have never driven a Tesla. I've been close to a Tesla because they're everywhere. It's like they say, don't they, in London, you're never more than 6 feet away from a rat or something. Is it something like that? And I think now we could change that analogy to be you're never more than about, say, 10 feet away from a Tesla, because they are absolutely everywhere. But I have actually never been in one, never driven one, nothing. I know nothing about Tesla, so I can't possibly say, but I know some people do talk about the build quality. And he said to me, now he's a Tesla owner, so, you know, don't shoot the messenger. And he said that he thinks I'll have a lot more success. He reeled off a few issues that he's had that cost him a few quid, mind. But he's thought with this, he said, with your Ariya, you won't have that trouble. I'm just saying, like I say, don't shoot the messenger. This is the Advance model of the car, and it is the car that has the least gadgets on it. So there's no sunroof, the seats are heated but they're not ventilated, and we've had some very hot weather recently, so that's been a bit of a disappointment. The materials inside the car are nice, but they're not as nice as the Evolve trim. I would say if you're looking at which trim to get, Advance or Evolve, then Evolve is the one. If you can afford to get it, you get some nice little extras, such as the moving center console, you get those ventilated seats, you get, I think the sunroof is actually standard on that, on the Evolve. What else do you get? Oh, you get automatic park, if that floats your boat. What else do you get? I've probably forgotten something, but it's about £4 extra on the asking price, and trust me, for what you get for that extra £4, it's well worth it. The model that I wanted, which is the lower, slightly cheaper battery model, was not available when I ordered this car. So the only way I would have been able to get Evolve is if I had spent 10 grand, £10,000 extra than I spent on this car. And as we'll come to later, there was no way that I was going to do that. So this is a good moment in the video to ask that if you're enjoying this rambly content, don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to hit that like button, because it really helps other people to find this content. Thank you so much. Now, something that's recently changed here in the UK is that Nissan have introduced a third model, an entry-level model at a slightly reduced price. So this, the Advance, which was the entry level, is now the mid-range, and there is, I think they've called it the Engage, and that is coming in at sub £40,000. So that's okay. They've taken a few things out, which I can't remember. So, but yeah, you know, it's the usual thing where you get more the more you pay for it. But it's nice to see that there is a sub 40 grand car available for this. Oh, look at that bit of parking. Look at that bit. Now, I haven't got the automatic park thing, but there's some very nice cameras on here. You've got the cameras front and back. You've also got a side camera on the passenger side of the vehicle, which makes it very easy to park quite close to the pavement rather than on it, for example. And yeah, I mean, parking there was really easy. Who needs a button when you can use your brain? Range is something that's interesting because according to EV Database, the real world range of this car is 205 miles. I think the WLTP is 250. And I found during the summer that I'm getting, well, the GOM is telling me that it's probably about 270 miles. And in the winter, I was easily getting maybe 220. Of course, I wasn't driving the full range of the car, but that's what the GOM was telling me. Anyway, the bottom line is I'm getting a decent range out of the vehicle. It's certainly fine for what I want. Most people don't do journeys that are more than 100 miles, so it means that at the time of recording this, I have done what, 3,302 miles according to the odometer there. I've owned the car for very nearly 7 months, and in all of that time I have been able to charge my car up at home all the time. And I've done some fairly decent journeys, out and about, been out for day trips and that sort of thing. I haven't gone away on holiday yet. I will be doing that later on this year. But yeah, I have charged up at a rapid charger once, and that was for a YouTube video. I haven't actually had to do it at all yet. So that's good. So my EV is on charge, and according to the app, it is not, as you might be able to see if I put it up on screen. So that's what the app is showing at the moment. It's saying it's got 52% charge, and its battery says plugged, not charging. Okay, there's my charger on the wall, and there's very clearly a lead here, and if we go just on the other side of this gate, if I try not to break it, I think I broke the gate. You can see, hang on, fix that in a minute. You can see behind me, can you? Look, it's definitely plugged in, isn't it? So that's a bit pants. So I've got no idea. I have no idea what the charge is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get in the car. See, and I think by doing that, the car is not charging now. But just simply by unlocking the car. I had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about this, and they said, yeah, if you get in the car, it will carry on charging. But I don't think it is now. Oh, it says charge delayed. Okay, whatever that means. So I don't know what that means. So I'm going to get in. It probably means the charge has been delayed. So I'm going to get in my very hot car, and I can't see a percentage at all. There's no percentage on any of the screens here. So the only way that I would be able to see what charge I've got, because the app is not telling me, is to turn the car on. I'm not impressed when the technology lets you down like this, because the car is in a position where it's got internet. The internet is all around us. So there is no, quite hot in here, I'm gonna have to get out. And but no, the app doesn't tell me, and I had to get in the car and I had to turn the car on to tell me I'm not impressed. The weird thing is, it doesn't do, most of the time it's fine. So out of 99% of the charges that I do in this very location, it all works fine. And then for no reason at all, it doesn't. I even logged out of the app and logged back in, because normally that works, you know, the old kind of reboot in a way. I don't want to delete the app, but you know, I could try that, but I have reported it to them and we'll see what they say. You might see that electric cars will be measured in how many miles you get per kilowatt hour. You might see this, and it's a bit like miles per gallon, I suppose, in a way, and the higher the number, the better you're doing. Now, I have had out of this Nissan Ariya 6, in fact I think it's 6.1 miles per kilowatt hour. And of course that doesn't happen all the time, but the average on here is about 3.5 kilowatt hours, and that's over 7 and a bit months of driving now when I'm filming this. This was going to be a 6-month review. It's turned into a bit longer than that. But yeah, I'm averaging about 3.5, and that's been through winter, colder months and the alleged warmer months. And yeah, that's pretty good. And it's not unusual to get 5-6 miles per kilowatt hour on a drive, which I think is none too shabby. So what do I think of the Nissan Ariya after 7 months? Well, I think it's a really nice, fun car to drive. It's not massive, but it's not small either. You can definitely get all your stuff in it, which is very important. I think it's got plenty of gizmos on it as well. It will definitely look after you. It'll keep you safe. And it'll also give you some nice little extras, such as the cameras and the little warning indicators when a car's in your blind spot, all that kind of stuff. It's got some really nice things that really look after you while you're in the car. Let's not talk about price, because I think price is a really difficult thing to talk about. Everybody is different when it comes to price, and it comes to what you think is value for money. I do have to say that there is lots of competition at this price bracket, and I think that's all we can say really. But I don't feel sorry for having spent the money and buying this car, even though I paid a lot less than this car currently sells for, because it went way up after the pre-orders. But anyway, I said I wasn't going to talk about money. I think this is a great car. I really like it. I'm not sorry that this is my first EV, and I will as such always have a kind of soft spot for it. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Do leave your comments below. If you have any questions about the Ariya, then I would love to answer them. So post them down there. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button on your screen now, and subscribe if you're new here, because there's loads more videos like this where I try and multitask as I'm driving coming up in the future. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you for another video really soon.